Some words, once spoken, can never be taken back. They hang in the air, changing everything in an instant. Welcome back to Wives Gone Wild. We appreciate you being here. Where are you watching from today? We love knowing how these wild tales reach you. Let's dive into today's cheating wife story. Daisy and Raymond had been together for years. To anyone looking in from the outside, they were a normal couple, steady, predictable, living a life that seemed perfectly fine. They went to work, came home, shared meals, and made small talk like any other married couple. But behind closed doors, their love had faded into something quieter, heavier. It wasn't a bad marriage, but it wasn't a happy one either. Their days were filled with small, unresolved arguments. Nothing explosive, just enough to leave a lingering tension in the air. It was the kind of marriage where problems didn't get solved. They just got pushed aside. Where sarcastic remarks masked deeper wounds. Where the warmth between them had cooled, replaced by something distant and unspoken. Raymond had always seemed confident, steady, strong, never rattled. At least, that's what Daisy believed. She had never seen him as insecure, never thought there was anything fragile beneath the surface. But she was wrong. Raymond carried a secret pain, a deep wound from years past. Something unspoken, buried beneath his quiet strength. And on one fateful night, in the heat of yet another argument, Daisy struck at that wound without even realizing it. She just wanted to win. The argument had started like so many before it, frustration, exhaustion, voices rising. They weren't fighting to fix anything, they were fighting to be right. And Daisy, tired and angry, wanted to have the last word. So she said it. "You argue a lot to be a man. No wonder you're so tiny down there." The moment the words left her mouth, she knew something had shifted. The air in the room changed. The energy drained from the space, leaving behind something colder, heavier. Raymond didn't yell. He didn't lash out. He didn't throw an insult back at her like he normally would. Instead, he just stopped. His face hardened. His jaw tightened. His hands clenched at his sides. And then, for the first time in their marriage, Daisy saw something in his eyes that made her stomach drop. It wasn't just anger. It was pain. Deep, raw, undeniable. It was betrayal. It was humiliation. And then, without saying a word, Raymond turned and walked away. Daisy stood there, waiting for him to come back, to yell, to fight, to say anything. But he didn't. And in that silence, she realized something terrifying. Some wounds don't heal with time. Some words cut too deep to take back. At first, Daisy told herself this was just another fight. Married couples argue. They say things they don't mean. They go to bed angry, but by morning, things usually settle. That's how it had always been for them. Heated words, a bit of space, and then, eventually, a return to normal. So that night, when Raymond walked away without a word, she didn't chase after him. She figured he just needed time. Maybe a few hours. Maybe until morning. But when she woke up and reached for him, his side of the bed was still cold. That's when the first whisper of unease crept in. Raymond had never done this before. Even after their worst fights, he had always stayed. Maybe he would turn his back to her. Maybe the air would be thick with resentment. But he was always there. This time, he wasn't. Daisy got out of bed and searched the house, expecting to find him on the couch, maybe in the kitchen, drinking his morning coffee in stony silence. But then she found him. Not in the kitchen, not on the couch. In the guest room, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Not packing, not pacing, not fuming with anger. Just there, motionless, detached, like something inside him had shut down completely. Daisy hesitated in the doorway, waiting for him to acknowledge her. He didn't, so she spoke first. "Raymond." "Nothing." Her voice softened. "Why are you sleeping in here?" Still nothing. She took a step closer. "Are you still mad?" Slowly, he turned his head, just enough to glance at her, but not enough to meet her eyes. And for the first time in their marriage, he didn't argue. He didn't tell her off. He didn't list all the ways she had hurt him. He just sat there, silent. And somehow, that was worse than if he had yelled. Days passed, and nothing changed. Daisy tried to ignore it at first, convincing herself this was temporary. That soon, he would snap out of it. That he just needed time. But time passed, and he only drifted further away. If she entered a room, he left. If she tried to start a conversation, he gave her nothing. If she reached for his hand, he pulled away. It wasn't anger. It wasn't spite. It was something deeper, more final, like he had erased her from his life without saying a single word. Daisy tried everything to bridge the distance. She made his favorite meals, hoping the smell of home-cooked food would soften him. He barely touched his plate. She cracked jokes, hoping to coax out a smile. He didn't even flinch. She reached for him, brushing her fingers against his arm as they passed each other. He stiffened at her touch. And that's when the realization hit her. For years, she had believed that fighting meant something. That as long as they were still arguing, There was still passion, still something worth fighting for. But this silence, it was worse than any shouting match they had ever had. Because silence meant something between them had already died. Some wounds never fully close. They might fade with time, become less visible, less raw, but all it takes is one careless moment, one wrong word, to rip them open again. Daisy had no idea that night how deeply she had cut Raymond. She thought it was just another fight, just another exchange of bitter words. But for him, it was so much more. Because the thing she had mocked, the thing she had used as a weapon in the heat of the moment, was the one insecurity he had never been able to escape. Raymond had carried that insecurity with him for as long as he could remember. It started as whispers in high school, cruel jokes in locker rooms, careless rumors that took on a life of their own. He remembered the laughter, the sideways glances, the way people spoke about him when they thought he wasn't listening. He told himself it didn't matter, that he would grow out of it, that people would forget. But they didn't. The worst was when it reached her, the girl he had a crush on. He still remembered the way she looked at him after hearing the rumor. Not with anger, not even with pity, just indifference. Like he had already been dismissed, reduced to nothing more than a punchline in a joke he never asked to be part of. And even as the years passed, as he grew older, stronger, more confident in other ways, that wound never truly healed. It festered in the quiet moments, in the silence after intimacy, in the shadows of old doubts that refused to disappear. Then came the betrayal. His last serious girlfriend, the one before Daisy. The woman he had once thought he would marry. He had walked in on her with someone else. And when he confronted her, demanding to know why, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't even try to lie. She just shrugged and said the words that shattered him. "You can't satisfy me." That moment broke something inside him. That was when he learned to bury his insecurities deep, so deep that no one, not even Daisy, would ever see them again. He built himself up, carried himself with confidence, made sure no one ever questioned his strength. And for years, it worked. Until the night Daisy threw those same words in his face. "No wonder you're so tiny down there." In that instant, everything came flooding back. The laughter in high school, the betrayal in his last relationship, the weight of a lifetime spent trying to prove, to himself, to the world, that he was more than what people said about him. And the worst part? This time, the words didn't come from a cruel teenager or a cheating ex. They came from her, the woman he had trusted more than anyone, the one person he thought would never use something like that against him. Daisy had spent days watching Raymond pull away, confused, hurt, desperate to fix what had broken between them. But now, for the first time, she truly saw it. This wasn't just about anger. This wasn't just about a fight. She hadn't just hurt him, she had destroyed something inside him. And the terrifying question now was, could she ever fix it? Daisy had always believed that love, real love, could withstand anything. Mistakes could be mended, regrets could be undone. But that belief shattered the night she saw his phone screen. It had been another evening of suffocating silence. The house felt colder, emptier, like a place where love had once lived but no longer did. She had walked into the guest room, expecting to see Raymond sitting on the bed, scrolling through his phone like he had been for weeks. But this time, the room was empty. The shower was running in the bathroom, and his phone lay on the bed, its screen still lit. Daisy hesitated. She wasn't the kind of person to check his phone. She had never felt the need to, until now. Something inside her whispered that she should just turn around and leave. That whatever she might see, she wasn't ready for it. But before she could stop herself, her eyes landed on a notification at the top of the screen. An email. Subject: regarding divorce proceedings. Her breath caught in her throat. She blinked, willing the words to change, to disappear, to be anything else but what they were. But they remained, burning into her mind, making her stomach churn. Divorce? No, this had to be a mistake. A misunderstanding. She wanted to believe that, but deep down, she knew better. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It wasn't just about one cruel sentence spoken in anger. Raymond wasn't just hurt. He wasn't just distant. He was preparing to leave her. Daisy set the phone down as if it had burned her. Her hands trembled. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. She backed away from the bed, her mind racing, her emotions a tangled mess of fear, regret, and desperation. She couldn't stay quiet anymore. She had to know. When the shower turned off and Raymond stepped out of the bathroom, she was already waiting. For the first time in weeks, she didn't try to tiptoe around him. She didn't try to win him back with food, small talk, or careful gestures. She just asked, "Are you really thinking about divorcing me over one argument?" Raymond finally looked at her, not with anger, not even with sadness, with nothing. And somehow, that was worse. His voice was eerily calm when he finally spoke. "You think this is just about that night?" The words hit her like a slap. And that was the moment Daisy understood. This wasn't just about what she had said. It wasn't just about the insult. This was about everything. The years of unresolved fights. The emotional distance that had crept between them. The little wounds they had ignored until they became too deep to heal. Her words that night, they weren't the cause of his decision. They were just the final straw. Daisy had always believed that if you tried hard enough, you could fix anything. But this felt different. She had hurt him in a way she never imagined possible. And now, she was desperate to fix what she had broken. But as she stood there, staring at the man who once looked at her with love, now looking at her like a stranger, she had to ask herself the most terrifying question of all. Had she already lost him? Daisy had never been more afraid in her life. She had spent weeks pretending everything would go back to normal, cooking his favorite meals, trying to make him laugh, reaching for him in small, careful ways. But none of it had worked. And now, Raymond stood in front of her, a suitcase open on the bed, his clothes neatly folded inside. He was leaving. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled. "Are you really leaving?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. Raymond sighed, gripping the edge of the suitcase like he was bracing himself. "I don't know if I can get past this." The words hit her harder than any scream ever could. He wasn't angry. He wasn't vengeful. He was just done. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't care about pride anymore. "I love you," she choked out. "I messed up. If I could take it back, I would. Just tell me what to do." For the first time in weeks, something shifted in his expression. A hesitation. A flicker of something uncertain. "You can't take back what you said." His voice was quiet, firm. "And I can't unhear it." Daisy held her breath. "But maybe I don't want to walk away. Not yet." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't a promise. But it was something. And right now, it was all she had left to hold on to. Some wounds heal with time. Others leave scars. Words have weight, sometimes heavier than we realize. What we say in anger can stay with someone forever, shaping how they see themselves, how they see us. Daisy learned that the hard way. But the truth is, every relationship will be tested. Every love story will face moments of regret. The question is, can love survive it? Have you ever said something you wish you could take back? Do you believe broken trust can ever fully heal? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching Wives Gone Wild. Until next time.